Hello and welcome once again to Let's Start Cooking. I'm Wayne and thank you for joining us today. With the holidays here also comes cold weather. And what better thing to do in cold weather than to come into a nice hot bowl of soup. And what we have today is we're going to do a rustic Italian tortellini with sausage soup. So the first thing that we're going to want to do is we're going to want to prepare our sausage. And all I did was I bought a pound or a pound and a half, depending on what your package comes. This is 1 pound. And I just got regular sweet Italian sausage in a link. And what we're going to do is we're just going to take these, we're going to cut right down the skin. Because all we want to do is turn these inside out. And we're going to remove it from the skin because we don't want the skin, we want the sausage. And you can do the same thing if you want. And you want that nice spice. You can get the spice sausage, mild, hot, whatever you prefer. But we're just going to rip that right out and we're going to put it in a bowl. And it just comes right off. And we're just going to lay that to the side. And we're going to do it with all pound. Because what we want to do is we want to just take this. Once we get this, we're going to cook this up in a pan. So we're going to get all this cleaned out. And while we're doing this, I ask that you watch the video, like, share, leave a comment, let us know if you have a recipe you might want us to try, or just say hi. Share it with your friends and subscribe to our channel. It helps us out a lot. Once we get the skin removed from our sausage, all we're going to do is we're going to take it and we're going to put it in our Dutch oven and we're just going to cook this up. And we want to break this up. Obviously, we don't want big chunks. We're just going to break this up. We're going to cook it up and we don't need any oil because obviously this is going to make its own. We're just going to let this start cooking and break all this up. And we want to get this all nice and brown. And what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to cook this and we're going to want to keep breaking this up. And we're going to cook this for about 10 minutes. We want to make sure, especially with sausage, that we're completely cooked through. But again, we want to keep moving it around because we want to break up all these big pieces. And we'll cook this until we make sure that it's done and it's nice and brown. Once we get this cooked and we know that we're done, we're as far as we're going to go, what we want to do is we're going to remove this from the pot and we're going to set it to the side on a paper towel so we let this drain off. But we're not going to remove all of the oil or grease that's left in this. We want to leave about a tablespoon to 2 tablespoons, and that's what we're going to use to do our next step, which is going to be sauteing the onions and the garlic. Now we remove the sausage and we're going to set that to the side and let that drain on a paper towel. And as you can see, I didn't leave a whole lot in here, but you want enough to make sure that we can saute the onions. So all now we're going to do is we're going to take our onions. I'm going to put them in, and as usual, I'm going to have all the ingredients listed in the description. But we're going to take the onions, and we're going to take the garlic. And what we want to do is we want to saute this for about 7 minutes, just till they're translucent. We want to keep this moving because we don't want to let this burn. But we'll get these cooked up. Once we get our onions and our garlic sauteed down to where they're translucent, what we want to do now is we're going to add all the rest of our ingredients. We're going to start with our beef broth, which we're going to add 5 cups. And we're just going to add all this together now. We're going to add carrots, about a cup and a half. And we just took regular carrots that were already pre-sliced and we just made them a little bit smaller for us, thinner. We're going to add a half a cup of red wine and half a cup of water. And with your wine, if you're going to use red wine, white wine, whatever it calls for, get wine that you enjoy drinking. Because if you don't enjoy drinking it, you're not going to enjoy eating it. And then we're going to take 8 ounces of tomato sauce. I'm just going to add that right in. And we're going to take diced tomatoes from about 4 tomatows. Now, if you don't dice your tomatoes, or you don't want to dice them, you can get a can of pre-diced. Just make sure you get what would be equivalent to about 4 tomatoes, large tomatoes. We're gonna add that in. And we're gonna add our oregano. Just give that a quick stir. And we're gonna add our basil. I'm gonna bring this back up. And last but not least, we're gonna add our sausage back in. And when you're doing this, just try not to scrape and get your paper towel. But we want to get most of this back in. We're not going to be too, try to get to all of this because we don't want to scrape any of that back in. Now what you're going to do is you're going to cook this uncovered. You're going to bring this to a boil and we're going to let this simmer like this for 30 minutes. So we'll bring this back up to a boil and we'll let this simmer uncovered for 30 minutes. We've had this simmering for about 30 minutes, and all we have to do now is we're gonna add zucchini and we're gonna add parsley to this. We're gonna stir it up, we're gonna cover it now, and then we're gonna let it simmer for another 30 minutes covered. So all we do is we're just gonna add our zucchini right in, and just be careful because it will be hot. I'm just gonna give this a quick stir just to get everything stirred up. And we're just going to take our parsley, and we're just going to add that right to it. I'm going to stir that up. And like I said, we're going to cover this now, and we're going to let this simmer covered for 30 minutes to soften everything up and make sure everything's cooked through and get all the flavors to combine. So we'll cover this up, we'll cook this for another 30 minutes, and we'll be right back. We've had this simmering for about 20 minutes, and we had it covered the whole time. And now what we want to do is the last thing we're going to add is we're going to add our tortellini, and we're going to let this cook again for 10 minutes. So what we're going to do is now I'm using fresh tortellini, and I'm using 4 cheese. You can use 4 cheese, you can use the multicolor, you can use the beef. But we're just going to put this in, we're going to give it a quick stir, and we're going to let this cook now for about another 10 minutes. We've left this now cook for a total time of about an hour. And the last 10 minutes was when we put the tortellini in. So now that everything is done, now we can actually take it out and you can smell the tomatoes and the oregano. I'm just gonna put it in the dish. You can really smell it. And I know this is going to be hot, but I try to give it a taste just so everybody knows. But I know it's going to be very hot. And again, if you don't like zucchini, you don't have to put it in. You really aren't going to taste it. We're going to let this cool down a little bit, steam up my glasses. But total cook time, about an hour. But again, it's just basically waiting for it. You can taste the tomato. It's got the right amount of spices. It's not real hot because we didn't use the hot sausage. We used a sweet Italian sausage. The pasta's perfectly cooked. And like I said, this is a great soup to come home to when it's cold, or really any other time you want to do it. But it's great when it's cold. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you'll like and share this video with your friends, and subscribe to our channel and leave a comment. Like I said, say hi. Just tell us, hey, you know what? Could you guys try this recipe? And until we see you again, I hope you have a great holiday.